Dr. Strangelove, or How I Stopped Worrying About and Loving the Bomb. No, I'm not talking gibberish. This is the name of a classic Hollywood movie, one of the best movies from one of the greatest directors of all time, Stanley Kubrick. Let's talk about something else. Let's come back to the present. COVID 19 layoffs have resulted in millions of people losing their jobs. Now, how many COVID 19 layoffs from the United Nations? How many COVID 19 layoffs in UNICEF, in WHO, in FAO, in WTO? No, the United Nations cannot absolve itself of its responsibilities during these panic stricken times, probably the most devastating times after the World War II. In these times when the whole humanity is under serious panic and fear, where is the United Nations? No, something is terribly wrong with the way United Nations probably has been functioning over the last 75 years. And the last 75 years of functioning is a case of unfulfilled greatness. Maybe the glass is not half filled, but still half empty. How is it that a country which is not even a democracy finds a permanent seat in the Security Council? How does that work? What kind of message and signal the United Nations wants to send to the countries? And how is it that the world's largest democracy doesn't find a permanent seat in Security Council? No, something is terribly wrong here. It's not correct way of functioning a world's body. No, the world's largest democracy has a de facto right to be a permanent member of Security Council. Maybe some countries have over years and decades tried to hijack or build a hegemony in United Nations because of their economic force or political force or due to several other reasons. But this is the time when United Nations has to take accountability, because in the movie that I'm saying, Dr. Strangelove, Jack Ripper, the US Air Force brigadier, he turns nuclear missile on Russia, and he doesn't take permission of his superiors before he does this. So, what if such kind of rogue situation happens in our time? Who has to take the accountability? Because we all are sitting on the verge of a tipping point. With so many doomsday weapons all around the world. Every country has doomsday weapon. Every country has so many nuclear weapons. In 1987, Robert Johnston made a report where he said that so many weapons were there in the world in 1987, according to that report, that one human being could have been killed 7 times. Now just imagine from 1987 to 2020, how much ugly advancement we have made in this sphere. I was just going through a report yesterday, and Switzerland, a country which has never fought a war in the last 200 years, why it has to invest billions of dollars in nuclear aircrafts? No, something is going wrong here. And the United Nations, if it wants to salvage its pride, if it wants to bridge the trust deficit, it has to take steps. In my opinion, we will be celebrating United Nations 100th year, 25 years from now, only if it is able to deliver on three critical promises. Number one, can the United Nations ensure that there is no war in the next 100 years, at least in the next 25 years, at least in the next 10 years? Looks difficult, but can the United Nations give a clear signal and message to the world, loud and clear, that hey, the last nuclear weapon on Earth has been unfortunately used on August 12, 1945. Can the UN do that? Can the United Nations give a very clear, strict message that if any country dares to use nuclear weapons, it will get boycotted, blacklisted, and all other countries will deal with that state with force, with military options? So if any country uh, understands that it really stands a chance of getting completely isolated, probably they will think twice on investing on nuclear weapons. But the United Nations has not been successful in giving such a stern message that hey, the last nuclear weapon has been used in 20th century. It's never going to be used again in human history. So this is first point that UNO has to do serious introspection on. Number two, can the United Nations ensure that every child on earth has an access to education as a basic human right? Number three, can the United Nations ensure that no one in 2020, 21st century, dies of starvation, of hunger, of poverty? Why can't the United Nations do that? It has all the manpower, it has all the technology, it has all the machinery, and probably the right intent if we trust. So what stops the United Nations? These are tough questions, but again, as I'm saying, I will be judging the United Nations in the next 25 years based on their ability to deliver on these three promises. Can they stop advancements in nuclear weapon and this mad world where every country is trying to have doomsday weapon, where we are one trigger away from any rogue state or any rogue agent who tries to become Jack Ripper. So can the United Nations do something here? Number two, can the United Nations ensure that there is free education for all as a basic human right? Because in the current structure, maybe the education is only for the rich, and education is like an investment. You come out of the Ivy League and you get heavy dividend, heavy return on that investment. Maybe the whole system is very, if not flawed, then at least it's skewed in favor of some. And the third point, as I said, can the UN ensure that no one dies of hunger or starvation? Till today, this is the ugly truth. So these three promises, if the United Nations is able to deliver on in the next 25 years, probably I will change my mind from the glass is half empty to the glass is half filled. And we will be doing a grand celebration of the occasion of 100th anniversary of United Nations. Else, the United Nations is really going the League of Nations way. So let's hope that in the next 25 years, the United Nations delivers on its most critical agendas with which it started as a ray of hope. After the devastating storm, it started as a ray of hope. Let's hope that that ray of hope culminates into something beautiful for the whole world. Till then, let's let's just try to stop worrying and loving the bomb.